So when it comes to money, what do you do if you don't have a supportive spouse? So I want to just start by talking about why financial bullying occurs in relationships. My experience, as I've had a chance to work with thousands of people, is that normally when you get in a relationship, you have one individual that is the risk taker and you have the other person that is the conservative non-risk taker. One person wants to dream and has ambitions, and then the other person is looking for stability and they're looking for steady, right? And so you put those two energies together, and that can get to this conversation today where it's like, dude, what do you do if your spouse is like in your face, in your grill, messing with you, bullying, and it's just like the bottom line is there's tension, there's fighting, and you're not getting eye to eye. Well, first of all, understand that usually the working spouse, and you might both be working, but usually there's one working spouse that doesn't like what they do. It's not always true, but they generally don't like what they do, and yet they hate that they're sacrificing their prime time every week, 40, 50, 60 hours to something they don't believe in or something they don't want to do, all in the name of a paycheck so they can help the family out. On the other hand, why are they doing it? Because they're in a relationship with someone that says, I want stability. What it does is it creates a perfect breeding grounds for the working spouse to want to become the entrepreneur that says, there's got to be a better way. I got to believe that if I'm in business for myself, or am I doing this MLM and networking thingy, or if I start my own business, that it's got to help me financially get ahead. And that way I don't have to be trapped into something that I don't like, or I don't have to work as hard as I am. But guess what that does for the more conservative spouse? It escalates things and it makes it worse. Bottom line is, it can be really hard for sometimes people to be married to an entrepreneur because there's risk, there's failure, and things do not always work out. And hence we get into a situation where you might have a spouse that is not supporting you. They're unhappy about the financial situation. So what I want to do is I want to pause and I just want to take a moment in this video to acknowledge each of you. I want to first start by talking to the aggressive entrepreneur, and then I'm going to talk to the conservative spouse. First of all, to you, aggressive entrepreneur, you got to understand that I get it. It's hard being in this situation and you want out, and you want out yesterday. You want out fast. But if you can't make a transition responsibly, you're not going to get the support of your spouse. And what I mean by a responsible transition is don't just quit your job to run off with the circus and do some business, right? Make a responsible transition. For me, what that meant is that when I was working really hard, I worked even harder. And what I was doing is I was maintaining my business and my work employment, my W-2, and I did both at the same time. That wasn't easy for me. And in fact, I had to do that for a while. I had to do it for a couple of years, but it was a price that I paid that opened up the doors of possibility where I could ditch my job and I could be a full-time entrepreneur. So there's a price to pay. On the other hand, let me talk to the more conservative one here. Listen, if you're financially conservative and your spouse has, you've got mistrust and they've lost money and business didn't work out, dude, that's called the learning curve of trying to figure it out. And you know what? They are taking risks, and it's hard for them to do that because they want to be happy just like you want to be stable. But I just want to tell you something. You need to understand that there's a cost for your stability. If your spouse lives relatively check to check, doesn't get ahead very much, it's all in the name of providing this stable situation for you, listen. Advance 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, eventually they're not going to be able to work the way they are right now. So your stability, it's guaranteed to fail you. When you need it most, when you're older, you're not going to have it. You have to find a way to bend without breaking. You got to find a way to support your spouse. Now let me talk to the two of you. You guys, get together, knuckleheads, start seeing each other's perspective and start talking. Have better open communication. Take risks. Learn how to do it responsibly. Ultimately, take responsible risks. Without these kind of risks, you ain't going nowhere. And I'm talking to both of you. You're going to sacrifice tomorrow for today, and you're going to sacrifice today for tomorrow. And bottom line is the sacrifice is unnecessary if we can get you two on the same page saying, let's communicate, let's be responsible, let's communicate, let's take some risk. Do it the right way. Anyone that wants to get ahead without taking risk, not going to happen. You're never going to get where you want to go. So get on the same page, communicate with each other. If there's been bullying going around or there's stories of, but we lost money and this thing didn't work out and now I don't trust them, you carry that into your bright future. Your future is already lost. You can't afford the past to hamper the way to financial success, which means you got to get off each other's backs. you need a reset. And that's the last piece of advice that I want to give the two of you right now, is you got to slow it down and you got to create a space to forgive each other, acknowledge each other's mistakes, and then get to a way when you can come together and work together as a team, whether it's working or supporting, that together you can get where you want to go. There's no guarantee that that game plan will win, but that is the game plan you need to have if you want to have a shot at winning. Take care of each other. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. Listen, I got to tell you, I've given that advice so many times, and I'm glad today we finally got to make a video, because I'm hoping that one of you is out there watching it saying, see, someone finally gets it. And you know what? I do get it. So take the practical advice that's here, and trust me, it's worth it to bring your spouse along. Whichever spouse you are of the two, work together as a team. I know you can figure it out. And hey, if you want to have an easier time doing it, then get a mentor and get a track record and do things that make sense. Which means this: subscribe, join my channel, learn some of what that means, and also check out the link in the description below. Check out my website where you can see some of the opportunities that I've been vetting, many of them for years, and they have aggressive returns without aggressive risk.